I'm going to show you how to make a guaranteed seller, how to price it, and give you the free patterns for over 6 variations at the end. So make sure to stick around. Hi, my name is Pierre. I own Texas Leather Tools, and I see over 300 new leatherworking businesses every single month, the ones that succeed and the ones that don't. So in this series, I'm going to break down the keys to a successful leatherworking business. Make sure to subscribe to stay updated. Handmade leather bookmarks are some of the easiest and most beginner-friendly products a leatherworker can sell. It's one of the largest hobbies in the United States. So you have a large customer base. There's little competition compared to other leather goods. Almost all leather goods and their alternatives have been commoditized thanks to overseas competition and retailers like Amazon. When a product has been commoditized, the main differentiator is marketing. So the key is to realize you're not selling just the product, because they can get the product for cheaper elsewhere. You are selling emotions and emotional attachments, with the product being the vehicle for those emotions. Bookmarks are an easy carrier for emotions because they are easily customizable to match many different themes. US history buffs and proud Americans will have no problem immediately paying for a unique US-themed bookmark. Regular Bible and Christian book readers will easily pay a premium for a Christian-themed bookmark. So it is that you have an easy way to personalize leather products to match a target audience. Now, the trick with a product like this is to price it at a price point that is within the impulse purchase range. You want to aim for a price of $9.99 and go as low as $4.99 if you're able to work fast. You can always sell the product for more if you're able to understand the market well enough. Quality determines the price point you can charge, but marketing determines if it ever sells. So let me show you how to make this product and give you 7 patterns for 7 different audiences you can sell to today. Cut off a piece of leather, preferably 3 to 4 ounces. Flip it over. Tape the backside. Next, grab a ruler. We're going to cut a rectangle 1.5 inches by 6 inches. All right, there we go. If you don't have a corner punch, you can use any round object to cut corners. Okay, so we have a rough 4 corners rounded. And now we're just going to manually fix that. It is much easier if you use a corner punch. You can also use a sanding machine to speed up the process. Let's bevel. Time to crease. So we've creased the edges, marked a 2mm inset. I like to go in with a swivel knife and just make that groove deeper. This is purely aesthetic and is not necessary. Before we tool, we need to add a number 8 hole. Now, this isn't necessary, but if you stay till the end, I'll show you exactly what we plan to do with it, and it adds a nice touch. That looks good. Now, let's tool. So the theme of this project is a compass, and it's aimed towards that adventurous and free-spirited group of people. So I'm gonna give it a good hit. We have a perfect compass emboss, but we're not done yet. So I'm gonna grab our North Star. I'm gonna add a nice flare near the bottom. It's time to dye this. So before you dye this project, remove the painter's tape on the back, and then bevel the backside. Just a little bit of dye. And don't forget, there are edges and a backside. I would make sure to maybe emboss the back with your logo in a very unobtrusive way. So the dye has dried. It's been about 12 hours. We're gonna start sealing it. I'm gonna start with some Tokonole. I actually don't know how to pronounce this. I'm gonna start by sealing the back. You don't need too much, probably putting on a little more than you actually need to. And then we're gonna grab a bone folder. And now let's do the edges. I'm going to take this to my burnishing machine, but feel free to use a hand tool. Now we're going to seal the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab some leather sheen. We're going to apply 3 thin layers with 30 minutes in between, maybe 15 if you're in a rush. And then you're gonna let it cure. Make sure you get those details from the tooling. Rub in a circular motion and then let it cure for 8 to 24 hours. The longer the better. You should really wait about 12 to 24 hours for that coating of leather sheen to cure, but we're gonna go ahead for now. So I personally think blue goes really well with this English dye. So we're gonna open it up. Now, I just want a tiny bit to go inside into the engraving. So I'm just gonna take this tissue and I'm going to trace over where we stamped our compass. So we've coated this properly. Now you don't want to wait at this stage. You're gonna grab some denatured alcohol. You're gonna quickly wipe off the excess. At this point, you're gonna wait for the paint to dry, and then you're gonna follow up with a final coating of leather sheen to seal everything off. Here's the results before that final top coat. Any adventurous person who sees this bookmark is gonna find that it stands out way more than any other good he sees on the market. One final addition to really elevate this project is to add a little strap right there through that hole. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a strip of leather and you want to make a really thin strip. Naturally, you should dye this strip to whatever color you think would accent the bookmark. So after you finish up the strip as nicely as possible, you're gonna fold it in half, stick the 2 ends through, and then do a little loop, just like that. I've made key mistakes in each of these for demonstration purposes. Over here, we've got this really cool black dye with a white finish that really makes the skull theme pop out. If you'll notice, I didn't let the top coat, the sheen, fully cure before I added the white acrylic and then went over it with the alcohol to remove it from the top. And what that did, because the top sheen coat didn't fully cure, is it smudged that white acrylic. Here is another great example. This looks really cool. The mistake is with that blue dye right there. After I added the splashes of the dye, I didn't wait a full 24 hours for the dye to fully cure before I started adding my sheen. What that did is that smudged some of the dye. Thanks for watching. All tools can be found on our site, texasleathertools.com. The patterns for all these are in the description below. Like and subscribe for more content.